How's it going out there in guitar world? It's Jeff from jeffrey-thomas.com, and I'm going to go ahead and preview through Lágrima by Francisco Tárrega. So let me shut up and play, and then we'll come back in and talk about some details. Ready, go. All right. So I have the tablature up for you on the website. I'm following this, right? And, you know, look, I get it. I read music. This is standard notation there. And I had to work hard to learn to be able to read music. It's not easy. And I understand why tablature makes a lot of sense to people. So I hear the argument from, traditional classical guitar players, well, I'm not going to teach anyone using tablature because that's not, okay. If you go back to history, the original notation for the lute, which was before we had the guitar, was in tablature. It was a system of numbers, but it did have all the rhythm. So it's kind of interesting if you want to go back and do a little history, time travel, and check that out. So here's the arrangement that I have on the website. So this is tablature. It's telling you that it's in 3/4, right? And I also have a lot of the chords up here to be helpful. I have a lot of students who they just don't have the capacity to learn to read music, and I understand that and I respect it. Some people just have a block with it. We can try and work through it. There's definitely value. One of the things I will say is, if anybody's interested in music theory, there's no such thing as music theory in tablature, period. You learn to read music, and ask anybody. It's not just Jeff being a jerk. You're going to have to learn to read music to get through any theory book, and theory is important. Reading is important, So I did my best on this to mark all of the right hand technique, the different combinations of your right hand. Traditional lettering for the right hand is your thumb is P, first finger is I, middle finger is M, and your ring finger is A. And there's combinations of the fingers that you're going to use. P and M, and then I. Continue. Right? Here's the first measure. And these are all the right hand techniques that are very important in classical guitar and can also, go over into other kinds of fingerstyle guitar, fingerstyle pop, Travis picking, whatever. So I think there's a lot to be said for studying classical, but it does sort of throw you into that like reading music thing. Like, for example, the structure on this tune is A-A-B-A. So the A section is here in E major. Okay, that whole section is A. And then you repeat the A section twice. Then you go into the B section, which interestingly enough is the parallel minor. Sorry. One of my favorite parts is the B section. So it's basically going from E major to E minor, which is parallel major to parallel minor, and then back. So E major, E minor, then back to E major. And the structure of the tune is A, then the B section, which is the minor section, and then you finish with the A section, which is back to E major. So all of those kind of things are notated with, they're in Italian. Like down here at the bottom of the piece of music, where is it? Right there. DC Alpha. So that means go back up to the beginning of the piece of music, right here, and then you play to where it says fine, which means done. You're done. So it's funny because a lot of times, look, let's be honest, guitar players are always trying to cut corners when it comes to reading music, you know? And I was there, you know, I first 5 years of playing, I did not read music, I just did everything by ear. But you are going to hit a brick wall. Trust me, you're going to hit a brick wall. I don't care. You're not going to find a magic YouTube channel, all right? It doesn't exist. There's no app. It doesn't exist. It's just learning from an instructor on how to read and then how to apply those reading skills to actual pieces of music. Super valuable, but once again, comes down to your interest level. If you're just a hobby player, then don't bother. But if you're halfway serious, you're going to have to learn to read. So anyway, that's my speech. I hope the lesson was cool, and it'll get you walking through the piece of music and playing some classical guitar. There are many details about, body positioning. I have my right leg elevated. Right hand is important. You're not going to play like this with a flat wrist, like you would for country, Travis Pick and stuff. Classical guitar has a very specific angle of your wrist, an arc in your wrist, where the fingers come into the guitar, different kinds of strokes, rest stroke compared to a free stroke. Sorry, that was pretty weak. My nails are not happening. All right, but many details if you're going to approach classical guitar itself from a serious standpoint, and there are method books for doing that. So yeah, they're written in music, so you have to read. Anyway, lesson learned here about why to read, why not to read, and then hopefully I won't get too many people jumping down on me about putting a classical piece up in tablature. All right, have a good practice session as always, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.